By the 13th day of the Kurukshetra War, the ground was choked with wreckage and the dead. On this morning, the generals made a decision that would alter the ethics of the conflict. They would abandon the codes of honor that had governed every blow until now. Warfare in this era was defined by Dharma, or righteousness. It was a strict system where combat was limited to one-on-one duels between equals. To strike an unarmed man, or to attack a single warrior with a group, was considered a spiritual and social failure. This diagram shows the Chakravyuha, a massive multi-layered military formation where thousands of soldiers formed a rotating labyrinth. Its strength lay in constant motion. Concentric circles rotated in opposite directions, ensuring the entrance was never in the same place twice, swallowing any attacking force. The Pandava army had no answer for it. Their only general who understood the mathematics of the formation, Arjuna, had been lured to a distant corner of the plains to fight a diversionary battle. With the main army stationary and facing total slaughter, the command fell to the only person left who claimed to know the way in, Arjuna's 16-year-old son, Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu's knowledge of this complex maneuver began before he was even born. While resting in the palace, Arjuna explained the tactical steps for penetrating the Chakravyuha to his wife, Subhadra. From within the womb, the unborn Abhimanyu listened to his father's description of how to break the first circle. The lesson ended abruptly. As Arjuna began describing the escape route, Subhadra drifted into sleep. Abhimanyu grew up knowing how to pierce the heart of the formation, but the strategy for getting back out remained a secret. On the battlefield, the teenager proposed a gamble. He would lead the charge and break the outer wall. Once the gap was open, his uncles and the veteran Pandava generals would have to follow immediately behind him to keep the breach from closing. Abhimanyu was entering a maze with no map for the exit. His survival depended entirely on his allies holding the door open behind him. Abhimanyu's chariot pierced the outer ring with such speed that the rotating lines couldn't react. He carved a path into the center, expecting his support to follow. But the breach was sealed. An enemy king named Jayadratha used his forces to block the gap, pushing back the veteran Pandava generals and trapping Abhimanyu inside the labyrinth alone. The 16-year-old was now isolated at the center of the trap, surrounded by the most experienced generals of the Kaurava army. Even though he was outnumbered, Abhimanyu held his ground. He shattered chariots and wounded legendary warriors, using his father's techniques to outmaneuver every commander who challenged him to a fair duel. The Kaurava commanders realized that in a one-on-one fight, none of them could stop him. To win, they would have to discard the very rules they had spent their lives upholding. 6 of the greatest generals in the land abandoned the code of honor. Instead of fighting him individually, they circled the boy and attacked all at once. They struck from behind. One general sliced his bowstring, while another killed his horses. They systematically broke his sword and shattered his shield, leaving him standing in the dust without a weapon. Even then, he refused to stop. Abhimanyu picked up a wooden wheel from his wrecked chariot and swung it as a club, holding off an entire army until he was finally bludgeoned to death. The Kaurava army secured their victory that day, but they did so by setting a precedent that their enemies would soon use against them. When Arjuna returned to the camp that evening, he found his son's body. The wound showed that Abhimanyu had been attacked from all sides, a clear violation of the rules of war. Arjuna swore a vow that would escalate the violence. He would kill Jayadratha, the man who blocked the rescue, before the next sunset. If he failed, Arjuna promised to end his own life in a ritual fire. The following day, the Kaurava army retreated into a defensive posture. They hid Jayadratha behind their strongest lines, waiting for the sun to go down so their greatest enemy would be forced to commit suicide. As the deadline approached, Lord Krishna used a deception. He blacked out the sun, tricking the Kauravas into believing the day was over. Thinking he was safe, Jayadratha stepped forward to mock the Pandavas. At that moment, Krishna revealed the sun was still above the horizon. Arjuna fired a single arrow, ending Jayadratha's life and fulfilling his vow. This sequence of events ended the age of honorable warfare. By abandoning the rules to kill a child, the Kauravas forced the Pandavas to use deception to survive, leading to the total destruction of both armies. Abhimanyu's life ended at 16, yet his name outlasted the empires that clashed on that field. The memory of the Chakravyuha persists because Abhimanyu entered that spinning maze knowing he lacked the knowledge to leave it. His story is told to each new generation as an example of integrity. It suggests that a person's worth isn't found in their survival, but in their willingness to fulfill a duty when they are most alone. In the end, the boy who couldn't find his way out of the trap became the only warrior from that day whose honor remained intact.